Hi, this is Ada Piederico, Principal and VP of Strategy at Alpha Investing, and you're tuned in to Dream Chasers, interviews with the future.
The combination of the skills that we have, the fact that we already have an existing business. A lot of people give the coaching industry kind of crap because there's a lot of coaches out there that don't really have a business. They never built a business. They aren't teaching a skill that they're actually an expert in. The thing that they're an expert in is actually creating a course. And I don't have anything against that, but it's like, that's the reason. You do not want to do that in the real estate business. You don't want to be like, hey, let me teach you how to do securities laws and pull investors together if you've never done it yourself.
And now, a word from our sponsor, RaiseMasters Capital. RaiseMasters Capital is a boutique commercial real estate investment firm that helps high-income professionals, high-net-worth individuals, and family offices obtain above-average returns with reduced volatility and tax efficiency from high-quality commercial real estate investments. RaiseMasters Capital helps clients achieve meaningful investment returns, generate multiple streams of income, and participate in investments that enhance lives and provide a tangible societal benefit. To learn more about RaiseMasters Capital, please visit their website and download their free ebook, More Doors, More Profits, both of which you can find in the show notes. Thank you. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Adam Carswell, and I have a special episode for you today. It's actually pulled from the Cashflow Connections Real Estate Podcast, episode 275 to be specific. Here on Dream Chasers, it's episode 155, and it's with one of the most influential people to ever come into my life, and that's my mentor, my friend, my business partner, just all-around gangster, Hunter Thompson. And it's kind of, I'd say the interview is mostly focused on some of the recent success we've had with RaiseMasters, which is the #1 mastermind for elite capital raisers. And I wanted to share this interview with you because it's very powerful. And I think there's a lot to learn from it. And I just want to advise anyone out there, my biggest takeaway from this interview is we all have the power to create our own future. And I'm not trying to sound cliche at all, like it's true. And I just look back at my journey with Hunter, and you'll hear me talk about it in the interview, how basically, I randomly identified him in a way that we talk about in the interview and just pursued him. And not only pursued him, but, many other aspects of my life have been drastically changed since becoming a part of Hunter's circle. And that same logic applies for anyone who wants to go in a certain direction of a leader that they look up to or that you look up to. So yeah, I just want to share, again, this interview with you guys. We had a blast. You'll hear us talk about the Cashflow Connections mentorship program, which you go to cfcmentorshipprogram.com to check that out. Or you'll hear us talk about RaiseMasters, and you can go to RaiseMasters.com to find out about RaiseMasters. Both very, very powerful. One's more of a program, the mentorship program, and then RaiseMasters is a little bit more of a mastermind. But man, I think the most fun part about all of it is we're bringing people together. We're creating success stories. Those success stories are being shared, and it continues to snowball. And we're the only ones doing it. Quite frankly, we're the #1 mastermind for elite capital raisers, and I'm sure as time goes by, we will not continue to be the only ones doing it. But the reason why we've got the pedal to the metal right now and continue to just say, hey, come be with us is because, it's there's no ceiling. And honestly, there's no, I love this take that Hunter uses sometimes. I don't think he uses it in the interview, but the cool thing about the world of real estate, or you could even say like online education, people like to compare themselves with like certain levels, saying, oh, by this age, I should be at this point, or, however you want to put it. In reality, like there really is no comp in life. For all we know, we talk about in this interview how we had a $200,000 month. Fantastic. There's no reason us or anyone else out there can't go have a $2 million month. It's just all about like mindset and perspective and realizing that to achieve massive amounts of success in life, there is no comp. So I know I've heard Hunter say that before. I don't think he says it on this interview. But yeah, anyways, guys, thank you for listening to me here on this intro. And now let's get straight to that interview from the Cashflow Connections Real Estate Podcast, episode 275, originally titled How We Had a Huge Month Without Doing a Deal. You see what we've got the title here for us on this one is the #1 mastermind for elite capital raisers. Would love to see you on the inside of everything we're doing. And as I mentioned, plenty of links to that in the comments, in the show notes. Guys, here we go. And remember, I had to throw this in here. Remember, in all you think, say, and do, take it to the next level. Hey guys. Hi Grandma. This is Adam Carswell, and welcome to Dream Chasers, interviews with the future. On Dream Chasers, we bring next level talent to the light. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's get straight to the interview.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Cashflow Connections Real Estate Podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, Adam Carswell, who runs the educational product part of our business at Asym Capital, which is our mentorship program, and most recently, RaiseMasters. He's also the host of the Dream Chasers podcast, which is awesome. I actually saw some very cool guests on there recently, including Grant Cardone, the man himself. Adam is actually working on a very cool product right now, which is the Next Level webinar series, which is going to be 52 webinars in 2021. You can actually learn more about those webinars by sending him an email at nextlevel@carswell.io. Wow, Adam, how are you doing, buddy?
Doing fantastic, Hunter. Honored to be here. I've been looking forward to this interview for a while. I mean, I know we didn't have it necessarily planned out for the past 3 years, but I've been looking forward to it for the past 3 years, maybe 4 now. I can't remember.
It's been quite some time. We're going to talk about what we've been doing over the last year in particular. But before we jump into that, and before we talk about this insane month that we just had and the lessons we can learn and that the listeners can apply, I want people to have an understanding as far as how you and I got connected originally and how we ended up working together on a very cool project, just for context.
Sure. So, I mean, we first got connected back in 2017 when I heard you on. When I have, calls with individuals who are interested in our products, I say, it's really like a one-off podcast. That show that you were on does not always have real estate professionals. If you want to get a link to it, whatever you can, but it's just a goofy one. But I heard Hunter on there and I was like, wow, I was not expecting to learn about commercial real estate today. I was in residential real estate at the time. And
just for some context, I think the previous guest on the show was talking about flat Earth.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like making fun of it. It was like a debate on the topic. Is it real? Is it not? Are we in a flat Earth type of environment? And the host of the podcast is Jeff Berwick, who is like a pretty radical kind of out there kind of guy. And I was definitely the most buttoned up and normal straight edge person that I think had ever been on the show, maybe other than Ron Paul. So that's for context.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't know how deep we're going to go there. So anyways, I heard Hunter on the show and was just like, wow, I mean, the way that this guy's, his worldview aligned with mine. And it was very important to me to find someone to learn from that shared similar worldviews and was in the same industry as me. And really, he was in the same industry, but a completely different sector when you look at it. I mean, I was a residential realtor with RE/MAX, and my story, when I get on the phone with someone who's, again, interested in our products, I'll say, I hardly even knew like what an asset class was when I first met Hunter, but I knew that he had the knowledge that I wanted. I knew this was a direction I wanted to go with my future. So I reached out. Next thing you know, ended up going through the first ever cohort of the Cashflow Connections mentorship program. I think like a month or two after graduation, he was heading to Vegas for a conference with Cashflow Connections at the time and reached out and he was like, hey, I need someone to help me run the booth. Would you be interested in coming along? And I always say this on the calls too. I'm like, man, when Hunter gave me that call, I felt like, it was Michael Jordan, like getting on the phone and be like, hey, can you come play with me? I need another teammate. I was like, yes, let's go. Like, yes. I think on the phone, I was like, played it cool. I was like, yeah, thanks. I'll do it. But in my mind, that's how I felt. So we hit it off. And I don't think I ever said this to you before, Hunter, but I remember after the conference was over and I think we were just like walking back to like our hotel room or whatever, but you just kind of said to me, you're like, dude, I've been doing this like solopreneur thing for a long time. And like, I don't know where this is going to go, but like, like this was a fantastic event, and thank you for being here. And I just remember that I was like, nice. All right, here we go. Fast forward to 2021. There's a bunch of stuff in between there, but it's been good.
Yeah, and we've been working together ever since, and really proud of all the hard work and all the growth. It's very, very obviously very different than where you were 4 years ago. You would have gotten pretty far on your own, but I'm really honored to be part of the growth and been able to watch you kind of change your route, probably a lot to do with kind of our relationship, which is awesome, and the content and everything. But the last year in particular has been insane based on the combination of the book, the subsequent launch of, and actually the ongoing mentorship program. We did launch it originally in 2017. I didn't know if I was going to do it again and again and again, which you now administer sales for. So when people apply for that program, you're the one that they talk to, because we do get quite a bit of applications and we want to make sure the right people join. So walk us through that and how, you use that skill set. How did you acquire that skill set as far as sales, and walk us through that journey as well?
I think I can finally disclose this too. Let me know what you think. So when I get on the phone with someone who's interested in the Cash Flow Connections mentorship program, and they want to know, kind of like what comes with it, the networking component is very important to me. And obviously to you too, but it's definitely one thing that I try to emphasize. I think a lot of our students have gone above and beyond because of that networking piece. And I'm just like, all right, so think cash flow connections. So like Hunter is the cash flow and I'm the connections. So once you come through, like who you need to get connected with within the community, like just let me know who you're trying to find. I'll get you to them. But, I just look at, again, what we're doing with the mentorship program, and how I think what I like most about the community that we've built is it's like handpicked. The quality is over the quantity, and everyone who comes through can kind of feel that. And again, from a networking perspective, once you're kind of behind the curtain and you see how things work here at Asym, and how we really nurture our relationships with those who we walk through this process. I'm biased, I guess you could say, but it seems like no one has really found anything similar for those that have like experienced other programs compared to what we're doing. And I say that again, because as you mentioned, I'm in the trenches. I'm having phone calls almost on a daily basis with people who are interested, and just nurturing those relationships has been a ton of fun.
So I want to ask you, we're going to get to this crazy month. We're going to get to what happened when we did the summit and all that. But I think this kind of goes back to the vision changing pretty significantly around Funnel Hacking Live, which was Russell Brunson's in-person conference. So I kind of had this concept that Adam is in the right position in terms of being the front of the CFC mentorship program. And I'm like, look, he likes to go to these live events. I don't really like to do them, but let's go meet, have an offsite visit in Nashville. We'll meet together. I'll show him like what I've been reading about, some of the speakers I have some respect for. And this is kind of the educational side of the business, is the ClickFunnels world. And we'll see if it'll likely motivate him, and we'll have some kind of realizations, and we'll grow together and have a good weekend, et cetera. So I would like to know kind of your takeaways of that weekend. I know it was about a year ago today, but now looking back, was there anything that stuck out to you as being like the fog was cleared and you saw where we were trying to go, or at least that was kind of clarified a little bit?
I think it was one of those things where, we go to this conference, and Hunter had been, I don't know if you want to say like on the ClickFunnels train, but consuming a lot more of Russell Brunson's content before me, especially before that conference. Since then, I could say, like, all I can say is, if you've never read TrafficSecrets.com Secrets, Expert Secrets, or like even heard of ClickFunnels, just please start immersing yourself, because I'm sure it's going to add some value to your life. But I look back to that conference, and in the moment, you go to these things and sometimes you don't really see like the clear picture until later on. And I don't know at what point my perception changed, but at some point I was like, dang, okay, now I get why Hunter wanted us to go there. Because like, look at all these success stories. The people that are in this community that are fully plugged in, they're winning. Like, they're winning. And I think we already were winning. We both have the capability of winning. But Hunter did a great job like positioning us to scale. And I look at like, I played basketball in college. I ran track in college, played a little bit overseas as well, basketball. But I just look at like the best coaches that I ever had in my life. Like, they knew how to position me and put me in a place where I was going to be successful, and probably could see that better than I could as like a player. Like I think of Coach McNeil specifically, who's my track coach. I never ran an open 400-meter dash until the end of my freshman year of college. And then from that point, I went on to I think I broke the record twice. I won the title in the 400-meter dash 3 years in a row. And it was just like, he's like, this is what Adam's good at. We're going to go all in to make him as good as he can be at it. And I just see that with Hunter. And then also just like within what we need as a company to keep getting better. It's fantastic foresight, fantastic vision. I don't know if it's because of how serious you take your meditation, but I definitely think that's part of it. So I hope that answers the funnel hacking live question.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, first of all, it's hard not to go and just basically recognize that when you go to a conference like that, we have so many advantages with our educational product and that world that we participate in, because the skills that we're talking about are potentially very lucrative. And by the way, the downside, if you do what we do incorrectly, it can be far more costly than not doing anything at all. But when you go to ClickFunnels Funnel Hacking Live, you see someone with a cookie course making $160,000 a month. And you go, whoa, like this is an $87 cookie course. So what do you think we could do with a beefed up mastermind, mentorship program, et cetera? And keep in mind, the mentorship program was already going and we were succeeding. I mean, the definition of what I would consider a successful entrepreneur, we were doing that, not at a high level, but it was working. And I think both of us kind of had this realization where the combination of the skills that we have, the fact that we already have an existing business, a lot of people give the coaching industry kind of crap because there's a lot of coaches out there that don't really have a business. They never built a business. They aren't teaching a skill that they're actually an expert in. The thing that they're an expert in is actually creating a course. And I don't have anything against that, but it's like, that's the reason. You do not want to do that in the real estate business. You don't want to be like, hey, let me teach you how to do securities laws and pool investors together if you've never done it yourself. But we have, to a large degree. And so we kind of had this realization where digital products, paid coaching programs are very compelling. And most importantly, and I think our investors will appreciate this, the reality is that I'm always looking for ways to incentivize good action economically. And the educational side of our business has allowed me to be compensated by not doing deals necessarily. I don't need to feel like in order to feed my family, I must close assets. And that's very common in the real estate industry where you start to be confused. Even ethical people can have their vision clouded by the economics. And so what happened in 2020, I was not motivated to do deals because I was scared about the uncertainty in the marketplace and I didn't feel like we had to jump in. So what happened? I relied on mentorship program income, focused on building out that side of the business more, which we're going to talk about in a second. And we did one deal and it was a non-real estate deal. I know I've mentioned that before, but you must understand, as someone who is not only in a real estate company, but is a growth-minded individual, you can see a situation where my desire for growth can sometimes be at odds with what's a prudent investment decision. So everything I do, from large co-investment amounts to very favorable compensation structures, I work quite hard to ensure that that vision is never clouded by my desire for more money, more influence, more positive impact in investors' lives, et cetera. So this educational side of the business has been part of that. Now, I will kind of transition this conversation into something that kind of came up during the research on this topic, which is that while the mentorship program was an excellent resource, my book, which was, from my perspective, accomplished exactly what I set out to accomplish in the early stages, and now it's time to take it to the next level. The book specifically about raising capital needed a more significant tie-in on the capital raising side. And I saw a massive opportunity in the world of creating a mastermind for capital raisers. And this was the motivation for the 5 million in 30 days summit to act as a lead generation and lead segmentation tool to launch RaiseMasters, which recently happened. So I want you to walk us through, Adam, from your perspective, when I give you the call and say, listen, this is what's about to happen. We're going to create the summit. We're going to do this mastermind. Like, what was that call like? What was going through your mind at the time? And when was this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess before I dive into this answer, there's one thing I just remembered about Funnel Hacking Live too. I just wanted to mention is, I don't know if you remember, we did have a moment where we were talking about, I think it kind of compared like Kobe Bryant's mindset to your mindset, or even a mindset that I would say I can relate to, which is you perform better when you have people cheering you on, as opposed to like the Kobe or like the Jordan mindset. is like, you need someone to be like, oh, that dude, like he can't score on me. And then, Jordan Kobe, like, okay, watch me drop 60. You and I think can both relate. We're more like I think flashbacks to track and field too on this one. It's like coming around that 300 stretch down the home stretch, the 100. I needed people like, come on, Cars, let's go, Cars, come on. That's what would help me win. And I think you can relate. So I just want to say that, because when I see Hunter, guys, and if you're listening on the audio, like, this is the person who needs to be on stage, rocking a stage of thousands and thousands of people. And I'm like, if we can get him to that level, I like doing that too. So it'll work out for both of us. So I just remember that conversation and having that that vision. So I want to keep growing that vision. Back to what you were saying, when you gave me that call, I mean, to be honest, at first I didn't realize how intense it was going to be. Like, I knew that you were putting a lot of time and energy into it, and I knew we had something big around the corner. But I think it's one of those things where, like, once it finally starts happening, that's when you go like, whoa, okay, whoa, this is what's going on. Because I mean, we went from, I don't know how many calls I was having per day, for example, for the mentorship program, but we very quickly shifted to, anywhere from 5 to 7 calls per day with applications for RaiseMasters. I was telling my mom, I was like, I think I had more calls the past 2 months than I did all year. And, to me, the coolest thing about it is, we're on these phone calls having conversations about what the capital raising side of our business is like, and what, how we're going to walk you through exactly what we do so you can achieve similar results. And I'm like, hey, I mean, what we're talking about on these calls, like, it's working on this side of the business too. I mean, we just got 120 applications in 2 weeks. Like, we're oversubscribed on both ends. So before I go too deep on this answer, I mean, that's what it was like for me at first. I wasn't expecting it to be as intense as it was. But then once it was, I'm like, all right, here we go. Let's go.
Yeah. So you're right. The same strategies that we use for capital raising were used in this instance. And we threw a summit, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. We had 24 speakers talk about a very curated, very specific topic. And the results were pretty spectacular. We had more than 2,000 people register. People had a great experience because of how curated the content was. This is not necessarily lucky. This was by design. I wanted each interview to be very curated so that someone could get some very actionable advice from each topic, and so that each person kind of stayed in their lane. Because sometimes when you go to podcasts, you hear about their background, their story, whether they like real estate or other things, and it can be a little too general. But the summit was just very, very curated. And then with the free summit, there was an opportunity to purchase a VIP version. And then after that, there was an opportunity to apply for RaiseMasters. And so as we launched the summit and we started driving traffic, all the risk is on. We don't know if it's going to work. I'm working ridiculous hours, recording podcasts, doing my other work regarding due diligence, et cetera, and also doing these interviews, these 24 interviews. I mean, that's a lot of work, scheduling, calling, editing, et cetera, over and over and over again. So much so that we had Adam actually write the notes for the interviews. Not that this was...
I'm just remembering that now. that was intense. Like, it was more than just the calls now that you're bringing up some of these memories.
Totally. Yeah. So you were doing the notes and you were like, dude, this is a lot of work. I'm like, oh, I know. I'm doing like, we're on the same page here. So what ended up happening is we launched the summit. We have a deadline for applications at the end of the summit. I'm hoping that we get some applications because the product doesn't quite exist yet, by the way. I'm not going to go and create an entire 10 hours of training if no one's going to move forward. So we have to get people to move forward before we create the thing. And we start getting applications. And it's just application. And there's no risk to apply. So there's no kind of hurdle there. But Adam's calendar is getting filled to the point where he can't do more calls. I mean, 7 calls of 30 minutes a day. I mean, he's having these calls all day where energy is important and communicating effectively and not being, let's say, snippy with someone who's like asking a bunch of questions, like in a different time zone. Very, very challenging. But what ends up happening is we get all these applications. We just don't know if it's going to work, right? So I can see that the applications are coming. Adam's been doing sales for us for quite some time, but this is a different price point than the mentorship program, a different caliber of personnel. These are advanced, savvy capital raisers, not people that are learning about real estate entrepreneurship. So the whole business, all the hard work, all the studying, all the coaching on this topic, all the paid Facebook advertisements, tens of thousands of dollars of coaching and advertising and work is now in the hands of Adam and these 7 calls a day. And so typically you assume about a 10% close ratio. So when we got to 100 calls, I was like, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. I mean, we're going to make it to 10, which is our real goal. And so why don't you tell us what happened, Adam?
I think after that first target, I mean, can we talk our numbers?
Yeah. Give us a ballpark figure of what we just accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, we were hoping to hit 10, and we hit 16, I think, on the first round, which was like better than expected. I mean, you guys should have seen how pumped Hunter was. The thing for me too was like, I knew this was a big deal, but then once we kind of recapped and you walked me through the stats and like kind of compared it to like other situations and just how important, this was to you, I think maybe that's what helped me. Is at the beginning, you weren't like, hey, Adam, I'm putting everything into your hands. You're like, just go do it. I think maybe if you told me like, hey, I'm putting everything I created into your hands, now go sell, I probably would have actually gotten a little bit more nervous. So good strategy on your behalf. But no, I mean, you remember my reaction. I was like, dude, nice. I had no idea. And you're like, dude. So
totally.
I mean, that's what happened. We beat that first benchmark and then we beat the next one too.
And then the next one. And so we ended up selling 23 $9,000 program, generated $200,000 of revenue in 4 weeks. And so the reason I wanted to talk about this though, is that this was all extremely intentional, but I have been through this on the losing side of this many, many times. And I'm sure people that are listening to this have as well. So I cannot tell you how many times I did all the research, hire the coaches, get the advertising, work, launch the fund. It falls short. Got to scramble for capital, find an institutional partner, fill the void, get a bridge loan, whatever you have to do to get it done. And then to later say, yeah, we did okay. This was probably the first time in my career where everything actually clicked and it hit really, really hard. And, I got to give a shout out to my wife, Chrissy. When I said things slip through the cracks, that's the one thing that I wish I had done a better job of. I was trying to work at a rate that was so high that every moment I was just jacked with cold brew trying to smash into my keyboard. I'm sure you noticed like in the emails I was sending where it's like typos, misspelling, it's just a splitting. And keep in mind, this is really important if you're an investor. No deals are being done. This is a really important moment in the calendar where no deals are being transacted or even pondered during November and December. So I know that if I need to blitz at that time, I can do it without worrying about bringing on investor capital, without issuing distributions or anything like that, so that I can free myself up again to have that clear vision. So I'm just smashing the keyboard. My wife comes in to say, hey, I got you some tea. I'm like, get out. Oh, sorry. No, I do want the tea. Like, sorry. Like that was the energy. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Chrissy, but thank you. So here's the takeaway. If you get a coach, if you look at your calendar on an annual basis and go like, what would be the biggest thing I could possibly accomplish this year? Smash it into 30 days and just do it. And you'd be shocked. What we had as a goal for our company, we've accomplished. It's February 1st. And so the rest is free money. So what are we going to do again in 6 months? We're going to do another summit. We're going to juice it again. We're going to do the exact same thing. And we're going to do it over and over again every 6 months until it doesn't work anymore. If you do this, by the way, if you look at your big time, big picture, holy crap, stretch goal, and then smash it into a 30-day period, which by the way, I really like doing in December because no one else is working. It's kind of like running in the rain. You're just like, who is out here but me? You can accomplish incredible things if you were basically under duress. And this duress came because of something very straightforward. I certainly want to have a positive impact on the industry. I want to help people get money out of the stock market. I feel like the stock market is a casino. My book is a tool, at least the one that I have, to help people communicate these ideas and get money out of that casino. On a personal level, we have a goal as a family to be able to have Chrissy take some time off when we have kids together. And that's quite a task, especially in California. And so we had a conversation about this, and she said, you need to get started now if you want to accomplish that goal. And it doesn't mean you need to wait until after IREC. It means like you need to start today so that we can do it before IREC and then potentially market to the new people that are generated by the interest in the summit to attend IREC. And that was like almost a suicide mission. It was almost impossible, right? But it motivated me to take action every single day at a ridiculous rate. And that's not something I'm going to do again and again and again. Like not at that rate. It's too burdensome. It's not the way I want to live my life. But if you can go back and listen to the podcast about gamifying success, there's no reason to work that hard at that rate, at that time of year with IREC coming up right around the corner. There's absolutely no reason except for if you gamify it and say like, it almost can't be done, But if it is done, it'll be really powerful. And so just to provide some context, even in an industry full of very successful people, that story that we just outlined, that is up there in terms of what people may see in the ClickFunnels community. It went from nothing to what Adam envisioned of like, Hunter speaking at Funnel Hacking Live. I wouldn't say that we're quite there yet, but I am speaking at an event soon where there's other coaches to kind of do similar things because the results have been extremely, extremely pronounced. And I'm the biggest, a very important case study because of the fact that we just did exactly what the coaches told us to do to a large degree. So get a coach, shorten the timeline, get some witnesses, tell everybody, raise the stakes. And we did all of that, and it just execute, and then have a great team that can help you and is going to be forgiving when things go wrong and inspiring when things go right. And when we got to 10, did I move the goalpost and say, no, we got to focus on 15? What happened when we got to 10? This is a critical moment as being a leader.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because for me, I'm so in the zone on, all right, how are we going to get to 35? I think that was like the ultimate thing here. So meanwhile, like the immediate goal was 10. So I remember Hunter reaching out after we hit it, sent me a Boxer message. It was like 5-minute Boxer message, longest one I think I've ever gotten. And he's just like, whatever you do, like, please just celebrate tonight. Like, don't worry about number, I think it would have been 17 at the time. Don't worry about number 18. Like, dude, we just exceeded much further than where we wanted to go. So just take a break and please, whatever you do this weekend, just go celebrate. And I was like, all right, thanks. Cause I would have probably never, I would have just kept going. So it was a good, moment, classic moment.
Yeah. And the only reason I said like the concept of leadership, the only reason I mentioned that is because I know that was really important to you. Right.
Right.
And the other side of that coin is that all of us that are growth minded that are watching this, we tend to chase the horizon. It can be very challenging on the people that work really hard for us. So what that means is if you set a goal, if you're doing all this, if you're getting a coach, if you're shortening the timeline, if you're doing things that are like you're in your mind at least are walking on the moon and you accomplish some version of that, the team has to be celebrated. You can't say, okay, got it, on to the next one. And I know this is actually something that comes up in personal development frequently, which is, yeah, but what did you do today? That was yesterday, but what did you do today kind of stuff. I am a big proponent of just going hard on those wins. And if you can buy something physically that isn't going to be gone, it's really going to help celebrate that. So as an example, just bought Adam a camera to celebrate as a kind of a bonus. That camera is going to stick around. And the story with that camera is that we accomplished that goal. Now, this can all blow up tomorrow and everything can go away and no one wants to join our mastermind or something like that. But we'll always have the memory of when we accomplished something we're really, really proud of. And lastly, the hard work alone should be celebrated. Now, one hack about the wife situation, because if you do this, something's going to slip through the cracks. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that didn't happen with me. It did. There was some challenging moments. I
mean, I have to also just give a big thank you to my fiance, too, Nicole. I mean, she was not used to me having 7 phone calls a day. I'll just leave it at that. So on top of everything else, I mean, we forget like all the follow-up and everything in between there. And so thank you, Nikki, for everything that Chrissy probably went through as well.
100%. We got to be kind and thoughtful about our partners. And man, there's so much to go through here. But especially if you're going through one of those moments of blitzkrieging your business and your career and just trying to smash it through, it could be the case that your partner is not in the same cycle, especially if they're also an entrepreneur, but even so if they're not, where they could be at one of those ultra high or ultra low moments in their like internal mental thought process of being an entrepreneur, where every single day you go through, we're going to go public to, we're going to go bankrupt. And you got to be really cautious if you're at one of those, oh my gosh, we smashed all the goals moments, and your significant other is coming home late being like, dude, I don't care. Because that can create a real challenge in between a relationship. Because you're like, why aren't you meeting me? And they're like, why aren't you meeting me? Now, it's great if they're on the same team and you can celebrate together or whatever, but just really, really be cautious about all this, because it's kind of like training for the Olympics or whatever. Like if you're pushing, you're going to have injuries. So it's about how to overcome those injuries. Now, if you're not pushing, you're not going to have the injuries. But You got to figure out what you're made of at some point. And I'm not saying do this all the time. I'm not the guy that's going to give up sleep. I never have been and never will be. I'm not going to do the thing where I work until 2 a.m. and wake up at 7. That's never going to be me. But some people are. That in particular is a big no-no. I don't like the giving up sleep thing. It's not good. It's not good health. It's bad for your mental health, blah, blah, blah. But if that's your thing, so be it. Just understand it's a short-term fix. Lastly, the ultimate hack. Holy cow, if you've made it through this, which I'm hoping is interesting because we just pushed in a way that we will probably not be able to push again for several months, 9, 10 months. You have to do these things in cycles, but it's so fun to just blast off sometimes. But here's the mother of all, since you made it through this unique podcast interview. If you're about to do, get a coach, shorten the timeline, get some witnesses, raise the stakes, etc. I should have added this, but I didn't know. Mark it on the calendar to go celebrate it with your significant other, regardless of the results. So when I put it in my calendar and start to realize what this is going to take, from what we're capable of, from our infrastructure, walking on the moon, we booked 3 nights in Jackson Hole. Right before Christmas, go say to the wife, this is not a Christmas present. This is a wife present. We're about to go into a dark, dark place in the offices of Asym Capital. And no matter what happens, we're going to go and celebrate in Jackson Hole. That changes everything, because if you book that trip a month later after that hell, you're doing it to pay them off so that they'll act nice to you. You don't want to go in debt to the vacation. You want to have it be in surplus.
Great hack. Great hack. Going to be implemented. That's the other thing too, guys. Hunter's very big on this, like the power of speed and execution and just executing as fast as possible. So if there's anything Hunter says that resonates with you, the best advice is just do it and do it fast.
Yes. And now, really big caveat. Every time we say this, we've got to talk about it. This doesn't mean rushed. As an example, there's a categorical shift between taking on investor capital and creating a product, a digital product in particular, what can be edited, for example. But in terms of due diligence, I don't want to rush through due diligence. I want to rush to begin due diligence. And I want to create a system so that I can streamline the process, not spin my wheels or go too fast. And I will frequently use this as an example because now you can see the energy of this conversation. You can see why it's so important that I focus on incentive alignment, big co-investments, because this is the way that I like to operate. And we create a structure that allows me to operate within that framework and go, 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 go. But we did one deal in 2020. Make sense, guys? All right. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed that. I know this is a little bit outside of our typical real estate conversation, but it was noteworthy. Hard work is noteworthy. And that's what we've been going through previously. So thank you guys so much for just being a part of it and enjoying it. Adam, any closing words? You want to let the listeners know how they can find more about you and listen to your podcast?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead and you can check out the podcast at dreamchasers-ix.com. That's dreamchasers-ix.com. You'll see me on the landing page there talking on a microphone. And then as Hunter mentioned, we're producing 52 webinars this year. I got a bunch already taken care of and moving on to more. So if you want to check out some next level webinars, just send an email to nextlevel@carswell.io. We would love to have you in the audience. And Hunter, thanks for having me here. Looking forward to smashing that next goal.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm very, very proud of you, not only because of what we accomplished together over the last couple of months, but just over the years, man. You've done a great job. You're with the right people. I think the lens through which you view who to be associated with is excellent. And it's a very, very powerful skill to have.
You know what? We have to give a quick thank you to Michael Flight as well, who's another, you say boss, mentor, business partner of mine who I work very closely with. And I met him through Hunter at that conference that we talked about at the beginning of the interview when I went to represent Cash Flow Connections. So Michael, it's been a pleasure getting to know you over the years too. And just want to thank Hunter for bringing us all together. It's been good.
Appreciate it, buddy. And shout out to Michael Flight, great guy, high integrity, high caliber person. Been a guest on the show many times. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you once again for investing your most valuable resource with us here today, your time. If you enjoyed today's episode, please drop a 5-star rating and a review below. Take a screenshot of it and send it over to nextlevel@carswell.io. We have a present for you. We really appreciate you guys leaving those reviews because it really helps with the overall SEO and visibility of the show and allows us to continue to bring on high quality guests. So once again, thank you, and remember, take it to the next level.